Breaking news this morning as the Eli Lilly earnings call just wrapped up. We'll have a full rundown at onthepen.com for you on that. But there is much larger breaking news as today we saw that Novo Nordisk reported to the FDA that both doses or both medications, both Ozempic and Wegovy, are no longer in shortage and are commercially available. I want to get into basically what this means, what happens next, and what does this mean for compound semaglutide. Before we do this, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. We bring you breaking news on all this information virtually in real time. And so if you find this information helpful in having more competent and confident conversations with your medical providing team in terms of how you treat your chronic disease, then please consider subscribing, liking, saving, sharing, doing all the things with the buttons that help other people. It's the easiest form of advocacy that you can do. But as you can see here, this is directly from the FDA website. Shout out to Jay and Sabrina who shared this to me while I was live streaming the Eli Lilly earnings call. All doses of Ozempic, all doses of Wegovy being reported as commercially available. So what does this mean? Well, ultimately, we can use what's happened with tirzepatide over the last few months as sort of the template or the blueprint of what happened. So the first thing that's going to happen is there's going to be a several-week review process where the FDA will review the information that they've received from Novo Nordisk. They will determine whether or not there's adequate supply to remove Ozempic and Wegovy from the master shortage list. So this process is going to take anywhere from, I'd say, 3 to 5 weeks, using basically what happened with tirzepatide as the framework for that. Now, from that point on, what happens? Well, if the FDA does determine that the drug is indeed off of shortage, then what is going to happen from that point is 503B compound pharmacies will have to cease mass producing compounded semaglutide immediately. Now, what you saw in the tirzepatide case was that you saw the FDA agreed, they removed it from the master shortage list, and within days were sued by the Outsourcing Facilities Association. It's a trade organization that represents 503B compounding pharmacies. Again, 503Bs are the ones that can mass produce this stuff without a prescription when there's a shortage. So that lawsuit ultimately, after a couple of days, led to the FDA saying, let's just take a pause on this. We won't enforce anything against 503Bs who continue to compound tirzepatide during this time. I think you'll see a very similar course of action taken with semaglutide as you have with tirzepatide. Of course, they could disagree with Novo Nordisk and say we're leaving this on the shortage list. And leaving that on the shortage list, perhaps they could show some deference to an American company versus a foreign company. Who knows? But there is an outside shot that they could, leave it on the shortage list, in which case we would remain status quo, right? But presumably they will side with Novo Nordisk, and if they do, within 3 or 4 weeks, the compounding of semaglutide will have to cease. You'll probably see a lawsuit, and then hopefully you'll see a stay in that lawsuit as well, so they can sort of continue at the same time. Now, from that point on, what happens is really what's up in the air. And I think what we heard on the Eli Lilly earnings call that gives a little bit of color to this is that, what Eli Lilly believes based upon the earnings call is that the FDA is getting their ducks in a row to prepare a case to defend their decision to remove tirzepatide from the shortage list. So that is where Eli Lilly is sort of seeing things going right now. Of course, they could be wrong. The FDA may elect ultimately to come to the other side of this and just say there's just not enough supply to go around. We've heard enough people report the shortage, #report the shortage, please. It's never been more important to make sure that your voice is being heard in the process as a patient. Use #report the shortage anytime you're making content about your inability to find these medications. That said, the groundwork for how Lilly has responded to, or how the FDA has responded to Lilly removing tirzepatide from the shortage list is probably our best sort of gauge as to what will happen with semaglutide. And of course, if you're not following onthepen.com, onthepen.com is a really, 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 really important resource to follow. So I would highly recommend that if you would like to get the full rundown of what's happened on the tirzepatide side to kind of know what the timeline and how things will progress with semaglutide, you ought to go over and check out some of the articles that we've done over at onthepen.com. You can click on GLP-1 news. You'll get this page here that will show you all sorts of good information about how that has progressed, right? Moreover, the question does become, what can we do in the process if we can't afford the branded medication? Well, I work with Ro. They're really good at fighting prior authorizations. So, of course, you could check out Ro at ro.co/OTP. But I do want to tell you, it's no substitute for prescription medications at all. But many of you have been asking. I've continued to lose about 1.5 pounds a week using a product called Can't Wait. It's an over-the-counter peptide that I found. I found them. They did not find me. I've been using it for a month and it's been working great. I take it first thing in the morning and it really, really helps me with appetite suppression. Of course, don't look into any of this stuff without talking to your doctor first and seeing what's medically appropriate for you. But this is an over-the-counter peptide with an active ingredient called DNF10, which works on leptin and ghrelin. Those are hormones that are associated with hunger. So I have been taking them. It's really been helping with my appetite suppression. This may be the time to look into something like that as sort of a supplementary option. I do have a promo code that you can use. The link will be in the description of this video to integrated peptides. If you use code OTP10, that's going to save you 10%. So we have worked out a deal with them. Again, I found them. They did not find me, but I've been trying to work out a deal where I could get you a discount on it because it is a little bit spendier for a supplement. But I've worked out a deal where we can save you 10%. So use code OTP10 at integratedpeptides.com. I'll link it in the description of this video, but it may be a good time to look at just something else. But talk to your medical provider, see what your options are. There are other anti-obesity medications if you've never checked them out before. So now might be a great time to look at those, but work with a great company who knows how to fight prior authorizations. Your primary care doctor, by and large, the anecdotal reviews that I get on that is PCPs, and even in my own experience, do not want to fight the prior authorization battle. They don't have the resources to do it. But telehealth providers have become very, very efficient at that. The good ones have that offer branded medications. And of course, I work with Ro. So worth checking out Ro at ro.co/OTP. That's the news today. It's not great news. Of course, we'll give you a rundown on the Eli Lilly earnings call, but most of what's pertinent is over at onthepen.com. I'll link that in the description as well, where you can check that out. I wish I had better news to bring to you today, but unfortunately, it's just going to be a wait and see. Of course, On the Pen will be this weekend, starting this weekend at Obesity Week in San Antonio. Obesity Week is basically a trade show put on by an organization called the Obesity Society. We will be there as a news correspondent, bringing you all the news. We're going to hear presentations from Eli Lilly, from Novo Nordisk, from Viking Therapeutics, and we're going to bring you all the news that comes out, as well as interviews with some of your favorite doctors that you've seen on this program. Hopefully we can get Dr. Spencer Nadolsky back on. We'll see if we can get Dr. Beverly Chang to do an interview with us, maybe Mike Albert, Dr. Mike Albert. So we'll see. We should be bringing you some really exciting content. If you'd like to contribute to that in any way, you can see that scrolling across the bottom there, and links to help out if you feel so inclined. We're taking a small team down there. You can check that out on onthepen.com too. So thanks for being with us. Thanks for being the best part of what we do. Like, save, and share this if it was helpful for you in any way. Check out the description. They've kind of hidden it now. You got to hit that more button below the video to kind of get the description. But we will definitely be putting some links in the description so you can find the things we talked about today. Until next time, we'll bring the news to you again. But that's the news for today. And God, one of these days I'm going to be able to bring you some good news. But that is not today. So have a good rest of your day.